the podcast. Special episode today. We're talking about our 2022 survey to school communicators all across the country. You guys, we had 465 respondents. That's a tremendous amount of data to go through. And we dove right into it. And today I'm going to share some of the results with you. We've also got a great blog that kind of highlights everything. And so we're going to make sure to reference that in the show notes. But really focusing on what channels is our schools using, and what are their struggles and what are you focusing on this next school year. So I think you're really going to enjoy digging in and learning what the majority of the folks are working on and struggling with, and all of the things. So this is going to be really fun to be able to share with you. Now, before we get started, I need to give you a special invitation to a webinar, a free webinar that I am giving for everyone out there. Everyone on my newsletter list is going to be able to listen in, and it's happening on September 15th at 11 a.m. Central. So that's at noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central. I think that's 9 a.m. Pacific time on Thursday, September 15th. And the title of the webinar is What's Up with Facebook? What Schools Need to Know for the 22-23 school year. Okay, there's a lot of changes that have been happening with Facebook, with the news feed and how people are seeing your information, to how you're able to manage your page, things that you're able to do. So what I want to do is bring all of the things that you need to know for a school social media manager to you, so you don't have to try to figure it out on your own. And so the way that you're going to have access to this free webinar is make sure that you're on my newsletter list. And that is in the show notes of every single episode of my podcast. There's a sign up right there. You can also head to my website as well, but any of the pop-ups and things that you can get signed up for will get you on my email list. But really, we want to make the most of Facebook this school year, but there's been so many changes, and they continue to change. But I'm really going to go over what you need to know as you get started with the school year. So I hope you'll join me. Mark it on your calendar so that you can learn all about it. Now let's get to this week's K-12 PR tip. All right, today's K-12 PR tip is just a sanity saver when it comes to being at events. So just recently in our membership group, we talked about homecoming, and that's coming up, and there's always a lot going on. You may have concerts, you may have different things that you are a part of. And as a social media manager, if you are there taking pictures, doing videos, doing a lot of things, it can get really overwhelming on, oh my gosh, I got to post this all to Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. And, if you're on LinkedIn or whatever. So this is my sanity saving tip when it comes to being at an event. What I focus on is Instagram stories, because that's like in the moment sharing. You can do videos, you can do photos, you can kind of do all the things and document the time while you're there. You may also be taking nicer pictures with your camera or doing some other things. But I really focus on that Instagram stories. And when I post on Instagram stories, it automatically goes to Facebook, which is really great, the Facebook stories. Then after the event, after I've had time to breathe and maybe grab something to eat or drink, then I will work on promoting some of the best content over on some of those other channels, onto Facebook, onto Twitter, and that. You also can look for retweets, right? If other people are doing some things, you can also incorporate some of your stories easily into an Instagram reel, for instance, if you want to. But that can be done after the fact. In the moment storytelling, I believe, is best done in stories. By the way, if you're struggling with using stories, you should sign up for my Instagram boot camp. It starts the week of September 19th. It's almost filled up. So you're going to want to jump in right now and get signed up for that. It's a great 4-week course. But this is just my little free tip on just keeping your sanity with those events. All right, now let's dig into today's episode, where we're going to uncover and reveal our survey results from our 2022 survey. All right, survey says, no, this is not Family Feud. We are not hosting an entertaining game show where we'll reveal like the top 5 nightmare requests that every school PR person fears of receiving this school year, which I think in my case is I need a video, right? Like everybody needs a video. No, what we want to talk about today, we did a survey of school social media managers over the summer of 2022. The goal of this survey was really to just understand where people are at, what they're struggling with, so that Social School for EDU, my team, can continue to support you, give you resources, and help you grow and celebrate your school in a bigger way. So I really just wanted to learn what you're struggling with, what your focuses are, what channels are you using. So it was a fairly short survey, but we dug into, it wasn't all just multiple choice, like pick one of these. No, we had some really great answers, and I had 465 responses. So it took us a little while to dig through all this data. A big shout out to Andrea Miller, who is my assistant. Of course, my assistant's name is Andrea. Why wouldn't it be? She's awesome, and she really helped dive in and categorize some of these responses. And I think it's going to be super helpful for you. Now, you're going to be listening to this data, but we also have it summarized in a blog. And so you can kind of visualize some of the percentages there. We've got nice charts and kind of have broken some things there down on that blog. And so that's referenced here in the show notes that you can listen to. But again, maybe you're not going to feel alone. Maybe you're like, okay, I'm not as crazy or unorganized or, struggling as much as what everybody else is. And so we're all in this together. Again, I'm not going to have all the answers in regards to handling all your struggles. But throughout this year, I'm going to promise to give you some content that is going to help you. And obviously, we have some programs, our boot camp and our membership being the two that will help you the most. And so if you are looking for some additional help and support, we're here. Like, we're your people to help you. So let's get started with the results. So 465 responses. We asked what type of school you work with. So with all of this, we had 79% work with public schools. So keep that in mind. Almost 80% of the responses were from public schools. 15% were from private, 3% charter, which in some cases charter is public, but and then 3% other. So it is heavily dominated with public schools. But what I like to note is I think in many cases with social media, the struggles are the same. Even with like in Wisconsin and Minnesota, we have free choice to go to school wherever. So there is a little bit of competition when it comes to deciding what schools that you're going to attend. And certainly public schools are getting a lot of pressure, parents wanting to homeschool or go to a private school. And so we need to start all acting as private schools or things like that. So primarily it was public schools that responded. And then it comes down to job title. So 25% of you said you were a communications or PR director or manager. So 1/4. 18% were communications PR specialist or a coordinator. So maybe not the director role, but 18% of you were that communications or PR specialist. 8% of you, then it jumps down. 8% were an admin assistant. 6% was a social media or digital communications or website manager. 5% marketing and communications director. 4% communication relations director or specialist. 4% teacher, 3% technology coordinator, 3% marketing, and 3% principal or assistant principal. Okay, I mentioned all those titles. Did you fall in one of those buckets? I hope you did. What I think is interesting is that about 62% of you have a direct tie to some type of communications in your title. So that's definitely the majority. But it's important to note that 38% of you do not carry that relationship as communications in your role. So you have titles like administrative assistant, teacher, technology coordinator, or principal. Okay. So I just feel like this really helps normalize the fact that in many schools, there is not a specific person tied to communications. Now, I believe that every school, no matter what the size, needs to have somebody at least part time in a communication role. It's a very important piece of any school, both internal communications, external communications, all of this. But the truth is, a lot of schools, there just isn't that priority. But those are the people that responded to this survey. So again, you're going to be able to look at this kind of in bar chart form where you can kind of see where you fall in regards to job title. Okay. Then we asked you for your level of experience when it comes to school communications. So this is really interesting. Less than a year was 13%, 1 to 3 years, 24%. 3 to 5 years, 22%, and 5 or more years, 42% of you have 5 or more years experience with school communications. I am getting ready to enter my 9th year of business. And so I definitely would fall in that 5 or more years. And oh my goodness, have I learned so much. So when it comes to experience, and your role, you shouldn't feel alone in any of those categories. There's a significant amount of you in each of those. And the thing to note is we all start somewhere, right? And some of us, when we start, just like me, I had no idea what I was doing when it comes to school communications. I really do love to see that 42% have 5 or more years of experience, but it's also important to know that those folks that have 5 or more years of experience, you guys, they still shared a lot of struggles at their school. And so that's really key. And then when you go and look at the other end, there's 37% of you that have less than 3 years of experience. So you either have, there's the less than 1 year and the 1 to 3 year category together. That makes up 37% of you. And most of that time, you guys, in 3 years or less, was in the pandemic. So I just can't imagine. You're in the right place. You are doing a great job. Hopefully this is going to be a school year that maybe we get back. I don't even want to say the word normal because it's a whole new normal. But maybe some of those things that you've known you wanted to work on, you're going to be able to work on this school year with a little bit more ease than in the past when we were in such reactive modes and changing and all of that stuff. But that's really interesting to know, our respondents. And then this is really good to listen to. Okay. So really lean in on this. Okay. We asked everybody, what social media platforms are you using in your school or your district? Okay. So which platforms are you using? Facebook, 98% of you are using Facebook. Wow. That is amazing. And I love it because that's the number one channel for every school we serve is Facebook. Second place, Instagram with 79%. Twitter, 74%. Those are the top 3, 98% Facebook, 79% Instagram, 74% Twitter. Okay, then it jumps down. YouTube, 51%. LinkedIn, 37%. Pinterest, only 5%. TikTok, 4%. Snapchat, 1%. And other is 5%. So there's other, social media platforms. There's new ones popping up every day. And so some of you are using, other. So where do you fall in on this? Okay. This is really interesting. Now, it's helpful to know where people are, but I really liked to flip the numbers just so that I might feel better on the channels that I'm not using. So just to flip the numbers, 99% are not using Snapchat. 99% of schools that responded to this survey are not using Snapchat. 96% are not using TikTok. Many of you are feeling the pressure to go to TikTok because you know your kids are hanging out there, but 96% of you are not there right now. So I'm telling you that's okay. And you're not alone. So that's why this data is good. 95%, I'm sorry, 95% are not using Pinterest. 63% are not using LinkedIn and 49% are not using YouTube. So it's just important to flip those numbers. I just going to say with this data, you better be using Facebook. Okay. Again, it's our number one channel for every school that we serve, where we reach the most people, where we have the most engagement, where we get the most reach. All of that is on Facebook. So I want you to be there. And I also want you to know that it's okay just to focus on Facebook. So Instagram, strong second, Twitter, strong third. But if you don't have the capacity, if you are already so overwhelmed with just trying to do Facebook, don't worry about more channels. Don't feel like you have to add more. Okay. So that's really important. And then, Instagram being that strong second place, and that even leads Twitter. Twitter is not as big in my area as Instagram is. We do Twitter for the schools that we serve. Remember, Social School for EDU does full management for over 80 schools across the country. We do it, but we don't spend as much time as we do on Instagram and Facebook. I think Instagram offers an amazing opportunity to connect with students and young parents. Remember, like our parents now are in the Instagram generation. They are using that platform. Now, if you're not sure about using Instagram and you're just like posting the same exact things on Facebook as Instagram because, hey, Meta Business Suite makes it easy to post on both. I really want to offer a special invitation into my Instagram boot camp. I mentioned it earlier in the show. It's our first session. We actually did a free challenge last spring. We had amazing results. We're bringing that aspect, that training, into a paid course. And so it does cost money. It's a 4-week course. It starts the week of September 19th. You are going to see amazing results. So you can sign up. I'm going to have that in the show notes. It's also linked in the blog. So again, there's just a lot of things that are different with Instagram that are continually changing. So if you want to use Instagram stories, if you want to use Instagram reels, if you're, wanting to up your game when it comes to even what do you post on Instagram, how do you kind of optimize your account for schools, I'm going to go through it all in that 4-week course, and you're going to really, really love it. So that's really good to know. Out of all of our responses, 465 schools, that's a big, big pool of folks what channels they're using. So if you're getting pressure, this is important. If you're getting pressure to add TikTok or add Pinterest, or, people just want you to add, then maybe you just say, well, most schools are really using these. So that's what I'm going to continue to use for our school right now. And then we can continue to evaluate it. And we're planning to do this survey actually every year so that we can kind of continue to see what people are struggling with what they're working on, all of that. Okay. This was a really interesting question. So what we asked our respondents was, how would you rank your social media presence for your school? How would you rank it? And, you're thinking about other schools. You're just thinking about maybe a bar that you've set for yourself. We gave you the choice of excellent, good, fair, or poor. Okay. Excellent, 24% of our respondents said their social media was excellent. 60% said it was good. 14% said fair, and 2% poor. So, 98% of respondents thought you were either fair, good, or excellent, which may be because, hey, you even had access to this survey because maybe you follow a little bit of what we've put out before, right? But I really did love to see that so many respondents rank themselves as excellent, because it's good to feel good about yourself, right? I'm not going out to judge, like I could go out and look at everybody's page, right? to confirm or deny that rating. But I'm truly glad that people feel confident in their social media efforts, because that's part of the game, right? Your internal confidence. The reasons why they rank themselves high, I want to just share a few of those responses. One of them said they listen to me. So they listen to Social School for EDU, which I think it's funny. But if you do follow Social School for EDU and the strategies we teach, I can guarantee your social media is going to improve. So that is a good reason. Other feedback why they rated themselves as excellent was they have received feedback from alumni, current, and past teachers. Okay, this is a really great indicator. If people are talking about your social media efforts, whether that be alumni, students, past teachers, current teachers, so when they start commenting on it, you know that you're probably doing a good job. Somebody else said new candidates for employment positions comment on social media. This is awesome because you guys, social media is a spot where you can show people what it's like to work in your district, right? What it's like to be here, what the student, it really shows your culture and the way that you believe in students and, are committed to them. And so I think this is awesome. It is a struggle getting candidates, whether it's teaching positions, paraprofessionals, support roles, bus drivers, all of that is really challenging right now. So if your social media efforts are helping with that, that's great. And I didn't really comment on it back in the other section. Quite a few schools are using LinkedIn. I think it was 37%. LinkedIn is a great spot to post job postings. It's also a great spot to just post what you're doing in your schools, because that in and of itself is promoting your place as a great place to work. So it's important not to just use it for job postings, and vice versa on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. Like those are the channels where you're usually celebrating. Don't be afraid to put in job postings there, because it might catch the eye of somebody that wasn't even really looking for a new opportunity, but all of a sudden they may be interested. So I love the fact that new candidates are referencing your social media. It does mean that you're probably doing an excellent job. And then another reason why they rank themselves high was they compare themselves against districts around them. So this is just another good metric to use if you're posting more content with great branding and good engagement. Dude, your social media is better. So you can look at those districts around them. So 84% of you, that 24% excellent, 60% good. So you ranked yourselves as that 84%. Now I've been doing social media for 9 years, you guys, almost 9 years. And I do social media every day. So every day I am managing for a school in Wisconsin. It's New Auburn, Wisconsin, small little school. I would rank myself as good. And that's because there's always room for improvement, and I'm only really as good as the content that's sent in to me. I think I still am doing a little bit more than I'd like to of informational posts. But it's a small school, and so they use their social media pages for that. I don't beat myself up for that, but but there's always room for improvement. So out of all the responses, only 16% rank themselves as fair or poor. So that's quite low, considering like 37% of you have only been doing the job for 3 years or less. Okay. Because good social media really does take time. So when I asked people why they rank themselves maybe lower, some of the responses, we need to post more frequently. That's true. I mean, once a day on Facebook during the week is absolute minimum for posting frequency. Absolute minimum. Okay. I think you should be posting more because there's more great stuff. You need to schedule your posts out and things like that. But so we need to post more frequently. One person said, social media is informational posts instead of celebrations. So I do agree with that. Social media is not just a bulletin board of upcoming events or notices about forms that need to be completed. Okay. It's truly meant to celebrate your school. So you do want to get those celebrations up. My thought is this, you guys, because I do get a lot of reminders and things. I want to tell those people that send me that stuff, it'll be like, I will post this, But for every informational thing that you want me to post, I need you to send me 2 celebrations, awesome things happening at the school to negate this one informational post that you want me to put out. So put that challenge out to the folks that want to give you things. And also don't forget, you could use Instagram stories or some other ways to get some of the informational stuff out. It doesn't all have to go on Facebook. Okay. So stories can be a great place for that. And then a final response that I wanted to just include was, we do not have a good hierarchy of who posts when, what, or how. So does this sound like you have a lot of people that are posting on social media and they're using different tones and voices and like different hashtags, or they're not using hashtags, they're not doing good spacing. I mean, there's a lot of art that goes into proper communication. And then if you're posting on top of one another, that's not good. So systems are really, really key when it comes to good social media. If you are looking for better systems or better consistency or, all of that, I really want to recommend, again, my social media boot camp. That is focused on Facebook and the general systems you need to run a great social media program for your school or district. You can join that. It starts the first week in November. We've already got spots taken, so you better get signed up. You can do that. I've got another link in the show notes for that social media boot camp, but that would be a great opportunity for you to make dramatic improvements. Now, do you want to see some of the best social media out there? Okay, I've got linked in the blog the 2022 and the 2021 social media award winners that I have given out. So every spring, and if you're on my newsletter, which you better be, you'll get a notice and you can self-nominate in a variety of categories for your social media presence. And then I go through and I pick the best of the best. You guys, these are great schools to watch to get better ideas to take your social media to the next level. So that's really helpful. And that will give you a great kind of criteria for excellence in my book. Okay. And many of you listening have been award winners. So I'm proud of you. Okay. Now we're digging into the biggest challenge when it comes to social media. What is your biggest challenge for managing social media for your school? And I think you're not going to feel alone anymore after you hear what our 465 respondents said. Number one, by quite a bit, was 30% of you said not enough time. There's not enough time in your day to do it all. Social media can be very encompassing. You've got all these other things to do. So if you struggle with time, you're not alone. Okay. 30% of you said that's your biggest struggle. 20% said getting content sent in from staff. So time and content. Can I get are you raising your hand? Yes, that's me. So you're not alone. That's what a lot of people struggle with. Some other responses, 8% of you said quantity and quality of content. 7% said equity among schools and within schools, where each school and grade are represented. 7% of you struggle with trolls, community opinion, navigating the negativity. 7% of you say buy-in from staff and admin. 6% say lack of communication about post-worthy things happening in schools and classrooms. So yeah, you get last minute, like, hey, this is going on. And, it's just lack of communication. So quick drink of water here. I'm really not surprised at the top 2 struggles. Okay. Time and content are always the number one things that come up as challenges. I just want to share a few of the responses again to see if this resonates with you. Someone said, time to take, collect, manage photos. With all the other duties, it's hard to find even 10 minutes a day to sit down and post. And then do I post the same thing on all 3 platforms? I'm exhausted. I bet you can relate. Somebody said, I do not believe every follower is truly seeing all of our posts. Okay, guys, hint, they aren't. Okay. There's an algorithm going on. It all has to do with engagement. So all your followers are not seeing your posts. Somebody said, Negative parents who make sweeping accusations. Don't you love that? So if you're struggling with some of that negativity, again, about 7% of you said you really struggle with that. Somebody said, it's just me running the show at the district level, and it's really hard to get principals, teachers, and even admin to share photos and info with me about fun activities. I've tried weekly emails, Google Forms, and even talking to staff individually so they know they can invite me to cover an event or send me pictures after the fact. I can't get them on board. I know that some of you can relate, and some of you are like, I wrote that in the response. Okay, this person has tried a lot. Getting leadership on board may be the most critical thing, because we've got to have the buy-in from leadership or it's not going to work. But I did just recently share a helpful blog on tips for getting more social media stories. So you might want to reference that. I'm sorry. And again, this episode, this podcast, this survey is not done so that all at once I can provide all the answers. It's just to put it out there and just know that I'm working on trying to provide you more help. One other person said, getting authentic content, looking through all of our historical data, the content that has always done the best, even if it's a potato quality photo, is stuff sent in to us by other people. Okay, I think this is a great observation. This kind of relates to getting enough content, right? But the observation that authentic content that's happening, like it's not your planned ways that you're trying to do a staff feature or some of those things. No, it's that authentic content, that authentic storytelling that's really happening at your schools that's going to do the best. And I hope you do look at your analytics, because that is helpful. Now, we did have one concern shared that isn't very typical. Somebody said, keeping up with the content and sorting through it. I get sent so many pictures daily. My agreed upon number of posts per week is 3 to 4, but I consistently post 5 to 7, and I still can't post it all, and that stresses me out. I appreciate every picture I receive, and I worry people will be offended if their pictures aren't posted. So I would say right now to that person, 3 to 4 times a week isn't necessarily enough. You can definitely post more than that. And I'm giving you school specific information and data that I have looked at over almost the past 9 years. So you definitely can post more. And you can post it in a variety of ways. Instagram stories, post other stuff over on Twitter. You can change that up. But I think many of you would gladly trade places with this person to be able to have some of those struggles instead of struggling for content, right? So again, this blog and this data and this podcast episode, I'm not here to solve all your problems. I am here to say that Social School for EDU, the business I started back in 2014, exists to make your life easier. And we do that in a lot of free ways. But some of our paid programs are really helpful. And I haven't really mentioned our membership program. That's our year-long membership that you get to be a part of to help you support your work with school social media. So we have weekly trainings, daily inspiration, and really a community of people to support you. So check that out. If you are struggling, we can tackle a lot of those things with continued help to help you with the moment at hand, right? And getting a plan. And there's so many resources available in there. So just check that out. Okay. Next question. We've just got 2 more questions. Next question was what are you focused on in 22-23? So you are in charge of social media for your school. What are you focused on? 45% of you said increasing engagement. 20% said posting more frequently or consistently. 9% add or use Instagram. 7% grow audience or following. 6% use stories or reels. 5% use more video content. 5% get more content from staff. 5% develop a social media calendar. 5% more classroom celebrations or day-to-day activities. And 4% were to add a platform. So maybe you want to add Instagram, or you want to, add TikTok or something like that. Okay. So this is really a great list of things that other social medias managers are looking at. So hopefully you can relate to some of these things. I really recommend that you try to focus, because we know when we focus and we have a goal, then you're more likely to make headway on that, right? Even if it's a lofty one. The one thing that obviously didn't show up in here, which the biggest struggle was not enough time in the last question. The focus area wasn't on like, how do I create more time or how do I add to my department? None of you even added that, because I'm sure we'd all love that, but we only have 24 hours in our day and the budgets are probably set and we can't really add someone to our team. So you're focusing on some other ones. Engagement, you guys, I love that so many of you are focused on engagement, because in social media, engagement is everything. Okay. Engagement is what is going to get more eyeballs on your content. It's going to make you more connected. It's not just you putting out information. It's that engagement that is so key. Some things that can help, obviously, are sharing authentic stories like we already talked about. But we do have folks using that list of 52 questions where you can do a question of the week. Really good. I mean, I think the record for the most responses was just recently done. It was asking what was your favorite class in high school, and it had 26,000 responses. 26,000. We've had them in the thousands and we definitely get them in the hundreds. What it does is it gets people used to responding on your page. It also will drive up engagement for all your other posts that you're sharing. We also have some calls to action phrases that can help. And again, that's available on the blog. So some ways to try to encourage engagement, which a lot of times is ask the question right at the beginning of your post. Don't bury it 7 lines down where somebody might not read it. Ask it right away. And then posting more frequently was 20% of you. And so I think that's great. You do have great stories. You just need to find them, right? And so getting a system, getting students to help you, getting other staff members, all of that. So loved it. Love all these responses. Quite a few of 9% plus 6%. So 15% of you kind of specifically talked about Instagram. Again, we got that Instagram boot camp. If that's your goal and focus area, why not support yourself with a training specifically aimed at that? But here are some other responses, the full responses that might relate to. One person said their goal and focus area for this year is getting organized, scheduling ahead, and increasing engagement would be a bonus. Okay. So someone else said creating a social media calendar has been on my to-do list for a few years now. I hope to have time this summer to put one together. Okay. Just a little note about social media calendar and content planning. Inside of our membership group, we do this every summer. We have a couple templates to pick from, and we spend time on making a plan for the next school year. So if you think that sounds like heaven, you should check it out. You can have access to the templates that we created this summer, because once you're in the membership, you have access to everything we're going to do and everything we ever have done. We record it all. We have great links to the resources. So you're going to love that. And then another person said, increase engagement on Instagram with student contributors from the high school. I've been simply posting the same content to Facebook and Instagram, and I want to do a better job differentiating and utilizing the platforms more effectively to reach the audience there. Again, Instagram Bootcamp will help you, but I also, in my blog, I referenced quite a few blogs and podcasts that actually focus on getting students involved. You guys, getting students involved is key to making your job easier. It's the answer for how do I get more time? First, you got to do a little bit of training. So it seems like you're going backwards, but in the long run, it's going to really help you. So the final question that we asked, which is very skewed because I did the survey, but we asked, what kind of tools or training are you using to stay on top of social media for your school? Since I offer tools and training, 59% of you said you use Social School for EDU. Thank you. I'm glad that you're using everything that we put out. A lot of that is for free, right? 14% of you said you use your state SPRA chapter. So that's the School Public Relation Association. Most states have a state chapter. I would definitely recommend you to look into that if you're not a part of that. 11% of you said NSPRA. So that's the National School Public Relations Association. So you have state chapters and then you have national chapter. I'm members of both. And so in my area, but you should check those out because they do provide some training on that. 10% you follow other schools on social media, 9% webinars, and those webinars can come from a lot of sources. I know my friends at Finalsite give out a lot of things. I know that there's blogs and things like my friends at CEL put stuff out. So 9% webinars, 6% colleagues, 6% Facebook groups, 6% reading articles or newsletters, 5% conferences or PD, 5% podcasts, 5% social media, observing social media, and 5% none. Oh gosh, I hope that you guys all realize that you can at least tune into us to stay on top of things. But again, we were heavy favorites because you're already a follower of us. We love to promote other ways. I really want you to lean into some of those other things as well. Just know that everything I learn at all of these things, I try to bring to you in some form. So the most detailed training happens inside of my paid programs, but I do try to talk about them on podcasts, in my blogs and all of that stuff. So it's just interesting to ask, where are people, getting their training from? And then I just broke down real quick the specific Social School for EDU tools used. 25% just mentioned Social School for EDU in general. So I've got a link there in my show note, or in my blog, in the blog that's referenced to my website. 18% of you said the membership group. 15% said the newsletter or emails that we put out. And you can sign up right in the show notes. There's a way to sign up for that newsletter. 15% of you said webinars from Social School for EDU. Now, most of my webinars are from in my membership group. I occasionally do a free one, which I have one on September 15th, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, all about Facebook changes that are happening and how that impacts you for this school year. So you're going to want to listen to that one. 10% of you said blogs, 9% my website, 6% podcast, 3% boot camp, 1% challenges, which my challenges are now only inside my membership group. So if you want in on the challenge that's happening at the end of October, that's going to be all about Facebook, you are going to want to be inside that membership group. Okay. So there you have it. 2022 survey results. What did you learn? I'd love to hear it. You can tweet at me at Andrea Gribble. You can email me, Andrea at socialschoolforedu.com. I want to hear it. You're not alone. Like, the struggles you have, the things you're focusing on, hopefully fall in line if you didn't respond to this survey. And even if you did, it's fun to know, okay, where did the results lie? Again, as we go into this school year, as we go into the future, my commitment to you is I want to be your go-to resource for training and support. I get up every morning excited to serve and help make your job easier. Okay. I do that through a variety of programs. And guess what? I think I told you this before on the podcast, but I am writing a book. I am writing a helpful survivor guide for social media managers at schools. It's not going to be super specific for things on different platforms. Again, I do that detailed training in some of my paid courses and inside my membership group, because that stuff changes all the time. And I can't rewrite the book like every other day, right? But this is going to be the foundational pieces, and it's really going to be meant as something that you can refer back to that will especially help when you're trying to put into place a system that works and show your staff, your leadership, like, this is the way to do it, right? I have worked with hundreds. I've actually worked with thousands of schools since I started back in 2014. This is my mission. This is my work. This is why I'm here. And I'm going to share the best advice in a book format. I've done it over the years through blogs, separate blogs, bringing it all together in a handy dandy book. So this survey and the results also help drive how I'm helping you through that book. So that's exciting. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. Take a look at the blog, look through it. And again, I'd love to hear some of your feedback. And then next week, we're going to be back with another amazing guest on our podcast. You guys take care. Keep telling those stories. And I'm telling you, as this new school year begins, you are enough. You are doing a great job. And I am your biggest cheerleader. All right. Have a good one. Bye, guys.